Very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another uLaw webinar. In today's webinar topic, we're going to be talking about how a legal office or a law office can ensure a high level of the 4 experiences that you can provide to your customers, your clients, and anyone that touches your law office, from the business experience to a customer experience, a user experience, and an overall product experience. So that's what those 4 X's stand for in terms of experience. Today's webinar, that's titled exactly how it reads, how do you ensure BX, CX, UX, and PX is high for your law office? This particular webinar has been accredited for 1 hour of CPD credits, of professionalism CPD credits in the provinces of Ontario, British Columbia, and New Brunswick. So for our friends and legal professionals joining us from these provinces, kindly do use this webinar for 1 hour of CPD professionalism CPD credits. You would log into your appropriate Law Society portal, and you would use this title, how do you ensure BX, CX, UX, and PX is high for your law office, and utilize the same. Okay. All right. And again, just a quick housekeeping. Would sincerely appreciate if you could mute your phone lines as well as use the chat window to ask any questions that you may have at any given time. Like every other uLaw webinar, today's webinar has a very specific agenda. The agenda is to talk about what these different components mean, what are these different experiences, and we'll look at them individually. And really talk about how these different experiences, including the brand or the business experience, brand experience, user, customer, as well as the product experience, how these experiences provide a very cognitive experience for your clients so that they can truly turn from a client or a customer to an ambassador who can refer your law firm or your legal firm to other friends and family members, as well as come back to you for other silos of practice of business as well. Okay, so we're going to talk about, how do you go about a branding experience, the business of branding, how do you think, breathe, and live branding even within your own firm, which is a very important component of the whole branding experience, is for everybody in the firm to speak the same lingo, to have the same thought process when it comes to the brand itself. And then we'll talk about, how do you utilize tools today that can help automate some of these components, obviously in terms of user experience and customer experience. We'll talk about how legal professionals in today's context have the appropriate tools to automate. That way it's more streamlined, it's easily repeated, certain business processes, as well as the professionalism touch that there is, right from a standard logo being used to appropriate documents having the whole branding experience, the colors, the overall taglines, whatever reflects or resonates with your brand. And one such tool that we like to highlight is the use of a practice management legal accounting software and how it provides that overarching experience feel to the product experience itself that you can then offer your clients. Okay. Again, once again, kindly use the chat window to ask any questions during any time. I'll repeat for those who just joined us, today's webinar on the brand, customer, user, and product experience is accredited for 1 hour of professionalism CPD credits in Ontario, British Columbia, and New Brunswick. Okay? All right, so let's get started with really talking about what this brand experience really is. You obviously recognize and understand what a brand represents. We've all, on a day-to-day life as a consumer, have touch points with different brands in our life, right? So there's a certain inclinations to certain brands. Sometimes you really don't like a certain brand for whatever reason, and these are all very cognitive in our minds. We make those judgments based on the experiences that we've felt and touched of, or sometimes heard, or sometimes even experienced of either using this brand or coming across this brand, right? So it's really important that we then as a legal, or you as a legal professional who's also a business owner who's looking to build this firm and deliver legal services to the citizens, be well aware and well planned of how you can better brand your firm, or if you're someone who's just getting started, really take a deep breath and think about the branding experience that you and your firm want to provide to your clients, okay? At the least, we believe a brand experience is how your legal firm is represented to the audience that you're serving. So to the citizens of the province or the state or whoever you're serving, the brand experience truly is that first touch point, okay? Now, the brand from a very high-level perspective, if you were to look at it, it can be broken down truly into two simple user experiences or visually engaging experiences, okay? But however you, I would say, componentize the delivery of the brand, what's important to keep in mind is to utilize that brand, whether that's a message, whether that's a logo, whether it's a combination of colors. You truly want to utilize that as an opportunity to reflect who you are, the values that you've promised to provide, as well as the competencies or the areas of practice that you and your firm are establishing to deliver services on. Okay, so again, I'll reiterate, it's the opportunity to use the brand as, I would say, a mechanism or a way to reflect who you are, your values, and as a firm, as well as your competencies. Okay, and truly, what this you want to provide is that experience, and you want your brand to imprint that confidence in the service excellence that you and your team promise to deliver. Okay, so when you let's say you're just getting started as a legal professional, either based on the conversations that you've had with other team members or seniors that you've spoken to, or maybe you worked for a brief time at a law firm or a legal firm, you've gained some experience knowing how they do things, and now you're kind of setting out to do your own practice. That's a fantastic point to be really digesting what brands can provide, the values that you can then imprint using that brand experience. Okay, again, as I said, it's really the best way to provide that first visual imprint of your firm in your client's mind. Now, after the brand experience, so let's say people are familiar with a brand, so they understand what your brand promises. They really appreciate and they can feel it, and you're utilizing it to market your legal firm. In fact, we do provide a one-hour webinar, especially on the brand experience, where we talk about examples of other companies in the industry, such as Nike, Reebok, and we utilize Starbucks as an example in today's webinar. We provide great examples of how these long-lasting brands establish themselves and how they've created a forward-thinking experience in their client's mind, despite the amount of opportunities and other, I would say, opportunities that you have to go have coffee or buy a sporting good from, right? So how do they stand out? How do they provide a quality level of service? And what does their brand really talk about themselves as a company? Okay, so you can actually check that out on our YouTube channel and just search for brand experience. And we have a webinar just exclusively focused on that. Let's assume that someone has really appreciated your brand experience, really understands what you're doing, and then comes in to walk into your office or gives you that first call to explore retaining you as a legal professional, that they want to utilize your services. That's when really your customer experience begins. That's where you start to provide that experience to your customer, right? This really starts from the time of an engagement and continues through till the delivery of that final closing letter. Okay? It is truly what is perceived by your client with every in-person welcome, the phone conversations that they have, whether that's yourself or anyone else in your firm, could be your front office, could be anyone else, their assistants, anyone in the firm, okay? Every retainer letter, every document in the firm, and every consultation that you provide. And documents could include retainer letters, as we spoke about. This could be a statement of activity that you can provide your clients, really provides a very professional touch to who you are as a firm to provide a statement of activity that imprints the confidence that you know exactly what you're doing, you know how you've appropriated the appropriate trust funds, you pretty much chronologically provided every docket and disbursement that's touched the matter, right? So that's really the statement of activity, and that provides a fantastic customer experience. You know, there's a certain leap of faith that citizens take before they render or utilize a legal service or a legal firm. There's always that little bit of a fear factor of the unknown or what's going to happen. Whether that's a POA matter, whether it's a criminal offense, the legal professional is really, the professional rather, is the one who's providing the confidence to say that we're here to take care of your problem, retain us because we're going to put our best to get you off this problem, right? From this legal problem rather, or represent you the right way. So customer experience should be one of the highlights of the legal firm's experiences that you provide. From a definition standpoint, we'll move on to the user experience. So let's assume this customer has now retained you right from the first phone call to, you know, that particular closing letter. So if you've done a fantastic job, very professional experience, customer experience of having worked with your firm. But then part of that customer experience, or kind of a overarching aura of that customer experience, is a user experience. It's the multi-touch point experience that you want to provide your clients during the engagement itself. Okay? So a great example. Yes, there's a retainer letter that you're delivering, which is well branded, very professional, thorough, because it talks about every touch point, right, from the retainer amount, what are the responsibilities, right? All the important components. It's very professional customer experience. But if you can go one step further and provide it as an electronic format with an electronic signature already signed for them to sign it and send it back to you, now you're adding something extra to that experience. You're adding a convenience to that experience, and that's a big part of the user experience itself. Let's assume you're generating an invoice. To have that pre-signed, to have even a link that you can associate with that digital invoice so that your client can click on that link and self-serve, pay for that service, pay for that invoice in a more convenient, in a more digitally acceptable 2.0 version, whatever you may want to call it, very forward-thinking way. You're going to add that level of experience, of user experience, to that customer. So you have the brand, you have the professional customer experience touch points, and now you have a multi-touch point experience and convenience that you can provide as a firm. Okay? Technology tools become a very important part in providing a repeatable, a consistent customer and user experience. Okay? So does your client get a sense of whether your team is working as best as you can in delivering that service, right? We spoke about the self-serve payment options. These are all part of that user experience that you can provide to that client. And then comes the product experience. Now, the product experience is really a combination of every other touch point that the clients walk through. So right from the business experience to going through a professional customer experience, having now a convenient way of dealing with your firm through a user experience. How has this now experience resulted in the outcome of them having engaged you as a law firm, right? Some sometimes it's not as binary, but sometimes it could be as binary as, did you do a good job of reducing the fine? Did you promise them to reduce the fine as part of your brand? Do you say in your brand that come to us and we'll take care of all your POA matters, and then for whatever reason, despite the great experience, the final outcome was really not what you thought you would get out of that service that was rendered? So those are the questions that you want to ask. So what's the outcome in having gone through these tremendous experiences, the brand, the customer, and the user experience? Also, a product experience are the varieties of services that you as a firm can offer. Are you a one-stop shop for a person in a province to come to you for other areas of expertise? Maybe you did a fantastic job of helping them with a POA matter. Maybe it was a speeding ticket, and your firm really did a fantastic job of, getting rid of the points, reducing the fine, and it was an amazing experience and the exact outcome that was promised, that was delivered. Now, having gone through an amazing experience through the life cycle of working with your firm and having got the outcome that the client expected, you should expect that customer to actually come back to you for other services if you do offer them. So the product experience is also highlighting and marketing other capabilities that you and your firm offer. By the way, we also do small claims. By the way, we also provide landlord and tenant. By the way, our firm, through other lawyers in the firm, right, not just the one individual that was dealt with, other lawyers in the firm can also offer other services. The chances are the customer is going to take a leap of faith and come back to that law firm with the leap of faith and the hope that no matter who within that firm is going to deal with their case, the expectation is that they deal with the same level of professional experience and keep in mind the brand, customer, user, and overall outcome experience as well. Okay, so product experience, in summary, is really the final outcome of having gone through the initial experiences and worth the time or not, and then is this where that client is converted into an ambassador, whether he or she or the firm or the company comes back to you for another service, or whether they recommend you to a family and colleague. It really comes down to the product experience at the end of the day. Okay? And those were really, we want to leave a very high-level definition, if you will, of these 4 experiences that we believe are important for a legal firm or a law firm to keep in mind, no matter where you are in your cycle of business, whether you're just getting started, somewhere in between, or you're a very experienced legal firm. Okay? Now let's take a slightly deeper dive, if you will, into the individual components, some salient features and functionalities to keep in mind, and we've kind of tailored it a little bit more to the legal practice itself. So when you really look at the brand experience, we spoke about how it cognitively provides a motivation factor for a prospective client to retain your firm or even talk about your firm. Keep in mind that there is an option such as your firm, right? And after going through the whole experience, comes back to you or recommends you to another friend or colleague. Now, when they do represent or when they do refer you to another friend, they're either going to send them an email, or maybe WhatsApp, a website. All that is part of the brand. So a website has become a very integral part of building that brand experience, making it easy for someone to refer you as a firm through that web experience that you provide through their website. So really keep in mind that when you start that brand experience, today's legal professional certainly has a very professionally done website that reflects, again, the values, the brand's promise, the competencies that you and your firm can provide your clients. Okay? what else can you do? Obviously, you can come up with a very professionally done business card. It's a given, right? But when we start seeing people being very innovative in the types of business cards, you could have a QR code, a barcode. You could have digital signatures. You could have digital business cards these days as well. So again, think out of the box to stay, to stay out of the crowd, but all keep in mind as part of that brand experience. As the social branding has become a big thing in today's world, keep in mind that these branding exercises are simple, not extremely convoluted, does not take too much time, because it should be pretty simple for you to float your brand across the social networks that exist today, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Also find the appropriate channels that best reflect the type of service that you offer, right? There are certain channels that are best for certain types of practice, depending on, for example, if you're looking to network with other law firms and if you're going to serve other law firms, and you've decided that is really your forte, then there's a different channel to look at. You may want to look at LinkedIn, but if you are specifically going after the citizens and you're not looking to work with companies specifically, then maybe Facebook ads are a better way of promoting your brand. So really also comes down to, when you think about social branding, really understand, again, the service levels that you offer, types of areas of practice that you offer, and pick and choose the right social channel to market your brand. And when it comes to the documents that your legal office, there's going to be quite a few documents that you're going to have to produce as part of your legal firm. Any customer-facing document that's really not a law society compliant document, right, such as journals or ledgers, you don't want to brand journals and ledgers, because that's really for your audit, that's really for your law society's compliant needs. But any customer-facing document, right from that initial client intake form, whether that's a form that someone fills out in your office, whether it's a form that's available on your website, again, going back to that user convenience, we'll talk about that in a minute. But that client intake form is a fantastic first touch point that you could use to brand. So it has your letterhead, has your logo, may contain the same set of colors that you've branded. Retainer letters, we spoke about that. Again, another customer-facing document. Invoices, obviously a very, very important document as part of your life cycle. A document that is utilized so that you can accept the monies paid. So that's a great example of a document that can be well branded. Receipts, one of the most underappreciated documents in the legal world, but very important both from a compliance as well as a reconciliation standpoint, is to always provide a receipt for any payment or any retainers that you accept, because it truly gets the authorization both from your client as well as you and your other parties involved agree upon the terms of the payment, the amount that was paid, date, etc. Right? And from a brand experience, and this is something that we've seen too, brands, whether that's a international conglomerate or a legal business, may go through changes. So it's not that once you create a brand that then you're going to stick with it. For example, brands go through change in terms of colors that they may use. Brands go through changes in terms of the overall taglines. So initially, maybe you were just focused on one area of practice and you had a tagline specific to that. But let's say your firm then grew to become a one practice, area of practice to multiple areas of practice. Maybe suddenly now the values and the competencies have changed, right? So that's when the brand goes through that change as well. So you keep in mind that it's not a constant, but at the same time, it's a balance between not being a constant to overly changing all the time. So keep in mind that the brand really resonates, your values promises and your competencies, and if it has to, it goes through a change. Regardless of whether it goes through a change, the bottom line is you still provide your customer with a very consistent experience. Okay, so across, all the different experiences we spoke about, you still provide that very consistent experience. That way, the customer, even if your brand changes, even if the color changes, what is imprinted in their mind is that outcome and the experience of going through the law firm's everyday touch point or how you dealt with them. That's what's going to be everlasting. It's not the colors at the end of the day. Okay. And how can practice management and document management tools help you? Knowing that it's a consistent experience, you can convert that to utilizing these tools to automate these processes so that it's always consistent, right? So there's lesser chances for a human error in certain types of documents. For example, if it's human, then you may miss the opportunity to put a logo or letterhead in a document. If it's automated, whatever tools you use to automate, every time it's going to be that consistent letterhead on the top left or on the top right corner of the appropriate documents, right? Look for creative ways in both social media and print, as I said, to get your website and the brand imprinted in the minds of your customers. A good business experience or brand experience translates to great referrals. So to give it a very visual experience, you've got Starbucks as a brand. You pretty much know there's this green imprint with a mermaid, and there's obviously a story behind that. But, you get the white and green and the mermaid, that Starbucks. Simple brand, has a logo and a tagline, also has a brand promise, okay? So you pretty much can easily associate with a brand such as Starbucks. Then comes the customer experience. So we spoke about this being really every touch point, right from that first meeting, that phone conversation, to every other touch point that the individual goes through, right? So improving the customer experience obviously takes effort, discipline, and very important, training. So if it's, whether that's a one-person law firm or there's a multi-individual law firm, especially in a multi-individual law firm instance, it's important to train your staff. Train your staff so that they obviously are well aware of the brand, the promise of the brand. They're competent in the appropriate tasks that you expect them to be competent at. Whatever it takes to train them, whether that's electronic tools that you use to train them, whether that's manuals that you send them to train them, whether that's shirts and T-shirts and gear that you provide so that they're living and breathing the brand every day. These are great examples of companies promote the brand even internally so that everyone's providing that same experience to that customer, right? Detailed documentation, very, very professional way of providing that customer experience, including telephone conversations, very self-explanatory invoices. One of the biggest problems we often hear is law firms go through a back and forth with their customers with regards to conflicts on invoices. You said there's no tax, but someone charged the tax, right? We'll have to reverse that invoice, add a discount. Many times providing a consistent experience and using the right tools not only leaves your customer with a great experience, but also avoids any manual redundancies that your firm needs to go through. It also improves efficiencies when you set these processes up. So when you actually look to automate these business processes, it's I would say a double whammy. One, you're providing a very consistent, amazing customer experience. At the same time, you're improving business process efficiencies in your firm, so that's reducing the amount of effort and time that you have to put in to deliver that service, right? So whether that's capturing information on a website, producing documents that are consistent with the brand and the customer experience, document management products, legal accounting, practice management tools can give you the appropriate infrastructure or the platform that you can utilize to devise a process that's best served for your firm. Okay? So think about all the customer-facing documents we spoke about and how it can be easily automated, whether it's the branding experience or whether it's a certain set of processes that you have. Maybe you have a process that every invoice needs to go with a note that about the terms and conditions of the payment terms, right? Very clear. Maybe you'd have a process in your firm that says every invoice should have a complete list of every activity that's happened in that file. I want to, tell my client that they've given me a retainer. I've acknowledged that retainer as part of that invoice. This is the amount of money that I'm going to be taking out of the trust account. And as much as detail as you can provide, going back to that very professional outlook that your firm has with your client. So building those business processes, utilizing the tools to automate it is going to make you look good, but also make you feel good. Okay? So from a customer experience, this is something that Starbucks does, is it actually writes down the customer's name. It's an extra few seconds that the person takes. Obviously, it started off with a way so that, it's not just a latte, because, 5 people could have ordered that latte. But it's a more personal experience. People like to see their name on a cup. It's like, hey, this is really my cup. So when you provide that experience through that branded, the customer really feels that, well appreciated for the money that they're spending with you as a legal firm. Yeah, this is truly the service that I am getting from this law firm. They forget that this law firm is actually serving multiple other customers too. They just feel that this law firm is working for my sole purpose, right? It really gives them that sense of purpose that I got this law firm and they're just working for me. That's kind of the experience that sometimes you want to provide your customers. Very consistent, very personalized. Then comes the user experience. Yes, there is this brand. Yes, there is this very professionally done set of process and set of automated documents that are generated. Perfect. Do I have to come to your office to sign this? And if your office is in downtown, then do I need to ride to downtown, or do I have to actually take the subway to come to your office to sign this? Do you come to my office to sign this? Or can we just do this electronically? What's the convenience factor of dealing with your firm? Very important, right? Or because if convenience becomes a problem, then everyone's going to be very local, right? They're going to look at ease of access, do you still send correspondence through mail? In which case, let's say there's a strike that we're going through right now with Canada Post. What happens then? How do you deal with that? Or are you actually well entrenched into the electronic modes of communication? How soon do you respond to a query? So let's say I'm dealing with your legal firm and I suddenly have a question. How do I reach out to you? Do I have to write to you a mail, an email? Can I just call you up? What is the convenience factor of working with your firm? Let's assume the two legal firms do the exact same thing and are very professional, well-branded. Who do you think the customer is going to look to work with, even if it's the next time around? It's the one that can provide you more convenience, right? So from a legal standpoint or a legal firm standpoint, here are some of the examples that you may want to think about. Integrated payment. It's almost become a must these days. It's still a nice to have, but it's almost become a must have, and it's only a matter of time before it does. So whether that's integrating it through an invoice that you send out to your client, or at the least giving them the opportunity to pay through credit cards, both for trust as well as general, that's a huge convenience, right? Do you accept cash payments? Some firms don't. They have a strict policy of no cash, only dealing with anything that is referenceable, right? Maybe they're set up that way. That's how they're trained. That's their policy. That's their core value. And you have to appreciate it, and there are certain clients that are going to like it, some clients that don't. But that's part of that experience. Okay. Properly integrated payment methods can save time and grief for your customers, even to the extent of having a way of sending them greeting cards during, obviously we're almost at the holiday time, to Christmas, birthday wishes. Not sure about birthday wishes, but yes, certainly Christmas and holiday seasons. Treating their in-person meetings with utmost attention. And this is something that we hear. We've read about this. Punctuality, being on time, doing all the appropriate things seems very simple, seems standard, and seems very expected. But sometimes doing those expected things in the most professional way actually can leave your customers with a bit of a pleasant surprise, right? And again, using automation for a very good cover letter, business letter, envelopes and labels, combining it with that user and branding experience, okay? A user experience, we believe, leaves the most long-lasting footprint of your business in the mind of your customer. And then taking that same Starbucks example, it's a well-branded store, you know it is. It's very personalized, right? So you can basically tell them, I want a strong coffee with 1 sugar, almond milk, with foam, without foam. It's really personalized. So let me stop at that. But not only can I do that, I can actually do that online. I can use it through an app. It's easy to order online. It's easy to pick up. And I'm sure you've experienced that. You've seen Starbucks as one of the first companies to have provided you with that experience. Especially if you're a fast mover, you really need to be on the go. You do it online, schedule it to be done online, and every day morning, 7 a.m. before you get to your work, or 8 a.m., whatever it is, you're going to pick up that coffee that's personalized. They know what it is, but you did it all that online or through the app. Right? It's a fantastic experience that is being provided, and you're going to see a lot of other coffee places provide you with that same experience. So keep that in mind when you think about the convenience that you can provide your customers as a legal firm. Are you able to take client intakes or take information about a customer right from your phone? Are you able to, docket your time when you're at court? Because that way you're really catching up not only on time for your own firm's perspective, but you're also able to do all the tasks necessary to serve your clients as well, right? And then for the overall product experience, to be satisfied as a customer at the end of the day, that the needs were met of that customer and the customer's need was served with most care, interest, and I would say professional touch. This goes back to, from a legal perspective and how you can use business automation tools, this fundamentally goes back to a plan of the different business process that your firm would have to go through in serving clients across various silos of practice, okay? So certain silos of practice may be very straightforward, simple, a 2-step process, and that's pretty much it. There are other silos of practice that may be a little bit more involving, and the processes may differ. Regardless, having a plan, knowing that you're going to do that service, having a plan, having the appropriate tools to accomplish your end goal of satisfying the outcomes that you promise as a legal firm to your customers is the outcome of that product experience. Also, it's the different varieties of service that you can also provide in the overall portfolio of products that you can offer, right? That's a big part too. And that can be very well used for referral marketing. A big percentage of leads for a legal firm comes through repeat business or referral marketing. So if you've done a fantastic job in one area of practice, you should feel confident that that customer, if they have a need for other areas of practice, are certainly going to look at you and come back to you for that legal advice. Okay. So going back to that same Starbucks experience, great brand that you know the values, you know it's a coffee that's personalized to your taste. You even ordered it online, but maybe you know, again, I'm trying to draw parallels or provide you an analogy, but maybe in summer we've been drinking cold coffee, right? If I have a feel for a cold coffee, and if Starbucks is not providing it, then I'm going somewhere else. But if Starbucks is providing it, I know it's the same brand that I've dealt with. I can take a leap of faith about the quality of their ingredients, quality of the experience. This is, you know, in many ways a franchise goes through tremendous amount of training to repeat the same level of service quality that they offer at every store, right? So being able to have that process, choice, quality, and knowing that I can come back to Starbucks for a variety of other things that they offer is truly what the overall product experience is. And that's when you become a brand ambassador of the brand. Say, hey, whether it's a cappuccino, whether it's a iced tea, I've had them both. Fantastic experience. You know, Starbucks also calls the brand them, or they have a tagline called third space, right? I don't know if many of you have heard that, but it's called third space. So whether that's a home, work, school, Starbucks really becomes that third space where people can collaborate with friends and families. So you want to imprint that level of confidence to your customers as a legal firm that whether it's a POA matter, whether it's a criminal matter, and if you can offer it, then that's great. If not, you stick to your best. But if you can, give them that variety, because that's going to really leave that imprint about your legal firm with your customer for a very happy, successful referral marketing as well as repeat business. Okay, so in a quick snapshot, how do you ensure that these four experiences, the brand, customer, user, and product experience is high for your legal office? So again, reiterating that that is the title of today's webinar that's accredited for 1 hour of CPD professionalism credits. So how do you ensure that? Revisit your office branding. You know, how is it done today? What level of training does your team and yourself go through on a regular basis so that everyone's on the same page with regards to how you'd service a client? What level of automation do you have today in your business that can provide a very consistent experience without having to spend manual effort to recreate that consistency? Okay. What tools do you use? What practice management, legal accounting products do you use? Or can you explore using to automate these across your business? And what that's going to leave is a everlasting experience of satisfaction, as well as a way of leaving an imprint about the service quality that your legal firm was able to provide that customer. Okay. Knowing that we have maybe another 10 minutes in our webinar today, I'm going to take you into a quick snapshot of utilizing uLawPractice as a legal accounting practice management tool to quickly showcase to you, again, how can you use not just this tool, but any tool that you decide to purchase to automate some of these branding, some of these experiences that you can then offer your clients. Okay. And we're a Canadian company. We're a legal accounting practice management and business accounting software company. And our promise is to, as a brand, is to provide a very convenient, cloud-based, Canadian, and a compliant practice management experience for our legal clients. Okay. We do offer a 30-day no obligation trial. Do check us out, and you can visit us on our website, uLawPractice.com. Now let me quickly jump into a Playground account that I use in almost all my demos. I'm logged in as a 6 years legal professional, Mr. Roger Moore. And let's take some examples right from the client intake to other documents that you could utilize that is going to be part of your legal firm that you can provide that a consistent experience. Okay. So I've actually branded even the product that's being used within the company with the same colors that we use as a company. So assuming it's red and black or maroon and black being really the key colors of uLaw as a brand, I've pretty much done that within uLaw as a product. Okay, simple little things that can actually go a long way in consistently resonating that experience in that brand. So you can actually simply change depending on your website, depending on the colors that you have, type of experience that you want to provide to even to the local staff that you're using this product to serve your clients. So let's take an example of, I don't want to spend too much time here. Let's just say hot blue. Let's say your website is not as red and black, but more hot blue, and that's the color that you've chosen to serve. This is just another small example of what you can do to, again, resonate that same brand experience, colors, etc. Okay. Give it a real quick second for it to change. Okay. While we wait for that, there you go. Now let's start with our client intake, and let's just go through a simple client intake exercise. And I'm taking through the use case where this is done in the office. We have a lot of clients, and we also see in the legal industry today, legal professionals providing a client intake form right on their website that then automatically carries through into the appropriate tools that they have. So let's say this is a corporation, and we'll say Fixtures Inc. to avoid any manual errors, spell checks. Let's say this is a lawyer referral. I'll quickly take an address. I'll mark this as the work address. Okay. So within a matter of a few seconds, whether that's someone who's just walked into your firm or someone who's given your firm a call, either your legal assistant or yourself should be able to take that client information quickly with limited restrictions of being able to provide information to your client back. Now, if you need further information, or if this particular conversation leads or lends itself to an in-person meeting, you can also automate a document that you can send as soon as you've done a client intake. A checklist, if you will. You can generate a checklist and automate that to be part of the next step process. So maybe there's a representative from this incorporation who's going to visit you, and then you can send them the checklist. But simple things that you can do to brand. Let's say there's you're generating mails. Let's say even the old school way. You can provide a bit of a branding experience, right? So the red and blue, so it goes back to maybe this is more of a navy blue. So maybe we'll change the color a little bit. But if you really look at the letterhead or the logo here, it's branded. Great experience. You can do that with labels, source of contact documents, etc. So right off the bat, client intake was done fast and easy. That's part of your promise. That's part of that experience. You're able to then create documents that can be branded too, keeping that brand experience alive. And let's say we go about creating a matter. And maybe a customer experience is asking them through that checklist a set of documents that you would require for your own conflict screening purposes, right? Could be a driver's license, an incorporation document, whatever it may be. So let's say it's a workplace investigation. Okay. So keep in mind that every step of the way, that's the whole point, is as you go through the life cycle of dealing with that client, that's where you're keeping customer experience, continuing to think about user experience, right? And the user experience also comes down to, and the product experience comes down to the variety of areas of practice that you can offer, and that comes down to the areas of practice that you offer as well, okay? So starting with a retainer letter. So let's assume that as soon as this individual has walked in, you've done a elaborate retainer and you're going to accept, let's say $1,000, $5,000 as a retainer. Again, you can brand this the way you like. You can have a letterhead in addition to a logo, one of the two, whatever best suits your firm. The business process or the templates are well defined, and you can define it for different silos of practice too. You may want to use a simple one for a certain way, elaborate, flat rate, and there's some other examples as well. This way you're not typing this again and again. Saves you time. The fact that you're able to generate this click of a button leaves a very professional touch to your overall customer experience as well. And also it can be easily well detailed and very consistently repeated through the use of the tool, right? So you don't have to type this in manually yourself. And the convenience is, let's say you have to make a few tweaks to this client, you can actually go about the same letter, the elaborate one, for the same experience, generate this in a Word so that maybe you and your client can quickly go through this together and collaborate on the same document, right? So maybe the terms, payment terms, you traditionally do 30 days, then someone's negotiating for a 45-day payment period, and then that will have to be reflected in your overall retainer letter, or maybe you have a tagline that says retainers need to be replenished as soon as they go below $1,000. Maybe they negotiate it for a different rate. Again, part of the convenience, part of the customer experience is to be able to use that as well. So maybe the rates change. The rate is $600, right? You can change it right there. Electronically sign this. The client can even pay for that retainer right from that document. Okay, that's a convenience too. There it goes directly into the Moneris where someone pays for it. Okay. So retainer letters could have links too if you can provide them with the convenience of accepting credit card payments for retainers. For example, uLaw does that. We integrate with third-party gateways such as Moneris or TD, Pivotal. That way, trust compliance is well managed as well. Okay, so let's assume we've received that retainer, you've signed that document, and you've received that $5,000 retainer, and maybe the person said, I'm not paying you through credit card, I'm just giving you a check the old school way. That's perfect. When someone's just giving you the check, you want to right away, before they leave the office, you want to have the signed retainer letter, and if they've actually left you with the $5,000, then you can send them or give them that receipt right away. Okay? So you've just now accepted that. You can choose from different color themes, again, going back to your branding. And make sure that you're sending them a compliant, Law Society compliant, but at the same time branded experience. The compliance comes in where the Law Society expects you to have certain particulars to be definitely documented, such as a receipt number, who was this retainer receipt from, what was the amount, when was this received, and what was the mode of payment or method of payment. Okay? Sign this. You can have your client sign this or someone in your firm sign this or stamp it. and it's all done. Now your client's happy that they've received the retainer. And now you're going to move on to the next step. Whether you're docketing your time, right? And this could take a while, so I'm just going to maybe jump into another example. Let me just cancel out of that because I only have a few more minutes left. Let me utilize another company that I already have. So let me just choose ABC, A1 Fills. We did a retainer letter. You know, the other examples are invoices. We spoke about that. Statement of activities. So let's assume I generate a invoice. Just winter. And that can be a branded experience too. You can even mark it as paid if the entire amount was already paid as a retainer. So again, a further convenience, as well as clarity in the particulars that are documented in that invoice. So your client clearly knows that they don't have to make a payment because they've already paid you the retainer. Little things that can go a long way, right? So while we're generating that, I'll generate the statement of activity as well. The statement of activity is something that you can utilize during any point of the retainer or the whole customer life cycle, right? Whether that's the end of the file or during the process, whenever the client asks you for. Again, here's an invoice. Again, branded. Talks about clearly, again, this is a template that's automated, and you can have different templates for different seasons. Clearly defining a process that can be automated, no matter whether you generate this invoice or someone else in your company generates the invoice by utilizing the automation and the tools. Talking about all the payments that have been received by date, the clarity that this invoice provides your client is sometimes priceless. The terms of your payment available so that, again, at a time of conflict, you can clearly indicate that you've been notifying that almost on a regular basis across all your documents. So continues to talk about the professional nature of your business. And for any balances, the same thing applies. The customer can receive this digitally and pay for it as well. And we did this on purpose. This really talks about also being efficient, right? Someone gives you a credit card, you know, or if a check, a great example. A check is an example where you can deal with bounce checks. That's lost time if you have to go back and forth, right? So providing that experience of accepting payments so that if it's a card that's not, it's not used anymore, or for some reason it's not accepted, you can tell them right away so that they can use another card and pay for it, okay? Again, statement of activity, as I said, yet another document that can be well branded. So we looked at receipts, envelopes. So just a small example of a set of documents that you can use, the tools that you can use to automate your business process, but through that experience of brand, customer, user, and the overall product experience, okay? Once again, I'd like to reiterate today's webinar on the topic of how do you ensure the BX, CX, UX, and PX is high for your law office, and that is the exact title to search for or enter into your different portals for 1 hour of CPD credits for professionalism credits across the provinces of Ontario, British Columbia, and New Brunswick. Okay. So with that, I'll close today's webinar, and we'll take any feedback via email. Have entered or will enter quickly our email address, kindly request members of the society to email us if there are other topics that you would like us to cover, and if there's any specific feedback that we can use to make these webinar experiences better for you. Thank you once again, and hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you.